Welcome to Go Get Great, the podcast for aspiring entrepreneurs and ambitious small business owners. I'm your host, Brittany, owner of Brittany Miller Socials and mother of 3. Go Get Great is all about helping you make life and business work together. You'll learn about the fumbles that helped get me and my guests to where we are today so you don't have to make them. So come join the journey with Go Get Great. Good morning. I am so excited to have a paid ads coach joining us for today's episode. You guys know that I am an organic marketer, so I'm really excited to have someone come on and talk about kind of the other side of marketing, which I often get questions about. So our guest today is Liz Boer. She's a paid ads coach and sales funnel strategist who has over 12 years under her belt in digital marketing. During this time, she has worked closely with elite entrepreneurs and online coaches, helping them to generate predictable income and impact with online courses and membership programs. And not only does she have a lot of fantastic information to share about how you can get started with your own paid ads marketing without hiring a specialist, but she's worked with some pretty incredible brands as well. So she has so much insight to share. And she is also a mom, so she gets the struggle. And this is why she loves paid ads, because it helps her be a little bit more hands-off in her business, which sounds fabulous to me. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Good morning, Liz. How are you today?
I'm doing so well. It's actually pretty warm where I am. I'm in San Diego today, so we're hitting like a weird 90-degree day in the beginning of October. So it is like we're having like some sort of heat wave. So we're back to like, I'm like, should we go to the beach? I don't know. Kind of back to those. I was looking up to see if our like pool is still open like in our community, because it's October and like they close it for the winter time. But yeah, it's nice to have the sunshine.
Good. Yeah, we have some unseasonal weather here too. It like looks like fall. All the leaves are orange and they're falling off the trees. And it's, well, we're Celsius in Canada, but like 25 degrees Celsius. So like shorts and t-shirt weather. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah. What is it called? Like,
okay.
Summer, fall, what is it? Like fall harvest or something, where you have like unseasonal warm weather in the fall.
It's like, whatever it is, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I pulled out all my sweaters a couple weeks ago and now I was like digging to find shorts again. So
right? Exactly.
Anyway, I wanted to give you an official welcome to the Go Get Great podcast. And I would love for you to introduce yourself in your own words before we get started so that my audience can get to know you a little bit better before we dive in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's so wonderful to be here. I know we've been connected in each other's worlds for a while, and I'm so excited for our conversation today. It's going to be amazing. I am Liz Boer. I help female entrepreneurs to market and scale their digital courses and membership programs using the power of Facebook and Instagram ads.
So I'm so excited to have Liz on today because, as you guys know, I'm an organic marketing specialist. Paid ads are not something that I do for my business or my clients. So I'm super excited to have her here as an expert to speak to you in case that's something that you're interested in doing in your business. So Liz, I would love for you to share how you became a paid ads coach.
Yeah, it's a long journey. Actually, I started in the corporate world. So I am originally from Detroit, and I started working for Ford Motor Company's agency of record. Actually, I started on the like old school traditional media side. So I was a media buyer for like print advertisers and magazines. And then I moved over to the digital side, and we were running Facebook and Instagram, mostly just Facebook at that time, because Instagram wasn't a thing yet. It started with Facebook. And, from there, I just moved to a handful of different agencies. I sold ads for Hulu for a little while. And it was after I moved to California that I started working with some startup companies, specifically women-founded companies, for example, Stitch Fix, Fabletics, Glossier, to name a few that, some listeners might know today. But I started working with these women-founded companies and realizing and helping them to launch new programs through paid traffic. And I realized that there were so many other companies, entrepreneurs, and small business owners that had these amazing products that were really struggling on the marketing side. They had this ability to like transform people's lives, but they were really struggling to get more people into their programs. And it kind of, gave me more of an aha moment that a lot of times the reason people were struggling is because, one, they weren't positioning their offer and, and their messaging wasn't right, but it was also a traffic problem. Not enough people knew about them. They just needed more leads. Like if they could just, how many times has someone come to me and said, like, if I could just get more leads, I know that people would buy, right? Like if I could just get my offer in front of more people, I know that I could really blow this thing up. I could really transform so many more people's lives. I could impact people in such a powerful way. And that's where I, kind of started my company, and really wanted to just work with women and female entrepreneurs specifically that were building digital products, courses, memberships, and struggling on the marketing and the selling side. And so that's kind of where the journey began. And we're, only lifting off from here. We've built hundreds of funnels. We've managed so many women's ad campaigns. We do that through I have a done for you agency that manages ad campaigns for people. And then I also coach women inside of a high touch mastermind, teaching them, the launch strategy and really how to put the power of Facebook and paid traffic behind what you're doing to only help stabilize, but also help you to scale in a way that organic struggles to do unless you're putting a lot of time and effort behind it. But most people that I work with are more interested in having an engine, having a machine, a predictability, building predictability into their business so that they can take a little bit of a step back and just focus mostly on like high level strategy and building the product and building their offers rather than having to feel like they have to be on social multiple times a day or a week. So those are kind of the people that I work with and have gotten amazing results for. And it's just a really incredible journey to help people to create an engine, if you will, that can work to build your leads, to sell your products and help you to create a bigger impact, which obviously, creates more income as well.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you mentioned in your intro that paid ads, or in your story rather, that paid ads tend to be the engine that really drive results and leads for clients. So how different are the results that you get through paid advertising versus organic?
Well, that's a good question. I guess I would ask you what your results are looking like, right? Because I'm not the organic expert by any means, so I can't really rattle off a ton of testimonials from my own experience of like what organic marketing has done in my own business. I certainly have used both. I definitely believe in that there's power in having both, and that it is so beneficial to prove an offer and prove your product market fit with organic before you turn on Facebook and Instagram ads. Of course, there are ways to like test with paid traffic and all of that at a faster pace. But if you're limited on budget, like start on the organic side. And then once things are working for you, you can add paid traffic to your marketing strategy. So they can definitely work together. In my world, paid traffic becomes an opportunity to grow at a faster pace because you can intentionally market your audience. Let's look at an example. Let's say you're spending, and a lot of people say, well, it takes more time and I don't have the time and energy to put into paid traffic and it's a little bit scary because you're spending money there. Well, I would challenge that thinking with if you are using Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, like if you're LinkedIn, whatever you're using for an outreach strategy organically, you're spending a lot of time and energy creating those posts, creating that content. What if you took some of that same time and energy and put it towards your ad strategy, where when you share that content, you are reaching your ideal customer? Versus organic, there's only a small percentage of your audience that will see that content at the right time. And you can't guarantee that the people that are seeing it are your ideal customers, right? Like only a small percentage of those are your ideal customers. So adding in paid traffic to that strategy allows you to take that same content. Let's say you're repurposing something that you're doing on the organic side. You're using it in your paid ad, but now that ad is being served to someone who you identify as your ideal customer, right? Because with the targeting capabilities of paid traffic, we can identify and build the exact person that our ideal customer is. And we can target specifically to them, create messages specifically for them that speak directly to them and the immediate need that they are looking to have solved right now. And it helps us to attract many more leads, many more people to our offers at a faster pace. So that's why I love paid traffic, because it allows us to really light the fire under what we are doing. And specifically for digital course launches or membership promotions, it's a really great opportunity to bring in a bunch of people 30 days prior to your launch. And now you have a list full of people that are your ideal customers.
That makes sense. Honestly, that sounds so good to me right now. So I have a question. We're talking about paid ads here, but I really want to get a little bit more specific because I think that there are many different kinds of paid ads. So there's like regular ads, there's retargeting ads, which is obviously very much outside my scope of knowledge. So could you just share about some of the different kinds of advertisements that you would create for customers and clients?
Sure. So more what you're talking about is the audiences that we are targeting and the types of campaigns that we are running to target them. So without getting too into the weeds, let's say you are wanting to run paid ads, use Facebook and Instagram ads for a launch that you have coming up. You would want to start with attracting cold audiences to your landing page. Let's say you're using a webinar, for example, to launch your course. You're selling your program inside of a webinar training. You run conversion objective campaigns to attract new leads. You build an audience that identifies your ideal customer, and you send them to your webinar registration landing page. Now you have leads that are coming into your world, and they are identifying and related to the topic of your webinar, which obviously relates to the program that you are selling, right? So now all of the leads coming in, we know have some sort of interest in getting the problem solved that we are helping them with in this webinar training. which then sets the stage for us to be able to expand and invite them to go deeper by enrolling in our program. So those are leads. Retargeting, for example, would be an opportunity to re-message or remarket or retarget to people that have seen your landing page. Let's use the webinar landing page as an example. Someone clicks our ad and they go to our webinar landing page, but they don't register. We may want to create a remarketing campaign to serve an additional message or an ad to those people that visited the webinar registration page but did not put their name and email address to register. This is also something that you could do for when you are selling your course, your membership, your offer, like when your promotion is running. This is something that works really well to capture any lost sales. So for example, let's say our new lead, let's call her Sarah. She opts in to our webinar. She attends the webinar. She clicks on the offer. She goes to the sales page, but Sarah doesn't buy. For one reason or another, maybe she got distracted. Maybe someone came to her door. Maybe her dog needed to be let outside. Maybe she had to go pick up her child from daycare. There's a bunch of reasons, right? And she forgets. Now, it's important to make sure we're following up with these people via email after they attend our webinar. But there's also an opportunity for us to remarket to them on social media, places where we know they hang out and we know that they're showing up on a daily basis, to remind them like, hey, I saw that you attended my webinar. Like, I know you're interested in this topic. I know this is a pain point for you. And invite them into another call to action to help get their problem solved. Like remarket with specific messages to people that have not purchased from you yet. This is something so powerful that it is so hard to do with your organic strategy, because we can't specifically send a message to a specific person, right? With our organic. So this works so well for launch campaigns or promotion campaigns, because we can set up campaigns that target specifically to people that we know, like, we're so engaged with our webinar. They came, they attended, they were in the chats, like they were so hyped, but for some reason they didn't purchase. It happens all the time. But now we have an opportunity to reconnect with them, continue to build that relationship. Maybe they just need to trust you a little bit more. Maybe they just need some more validation that your program is the right fit for them, right? There's a bunch of reasons why they haven't purchased. Now we have the opportunity to use some of our ad dollars to re-message to people that we know went to our sales page but didn't purchase. Now we can bring them back, remind them of all the amazing benefits, remind them that like, hey, I know that you are having this specific problem. Let me help you fix it. Let me help you see if it can be fixed. If it can't, like, and someone else is better for you, fine, no problem. But maybe there's an opportunity. Maybe this is a problem that you really want fixed now, and this is the perfect fit for you. And they just need a little bit reminder. They just need to feel more emotionally connected, and you can do that with your paid ads using retargeting and remarketing campaigns. So you're building audiences based off of data that you know happened, behaviors that happened, and actions that they did or did not take.
Okay. So that sounds really cool, but it also sounds like a lot to try and like learn to DIY yourself. Where would you recommend someone started if they didn't have the capability to bring someone on to kind of put a whole funnel together for them?
Yeah, it's actually a lot less complicated than you think. It's really just building an audience off of data, right? So as long as you have a small snippet of code on your website, you can build these audiences that we're talking about here. It's really not that complicated. And if you follow a simple step-by-step process, if you are a smart, capable woman, like you're already setting up things like your emails, and if you can figure out how to post a reel or a TikTok video on social media, you can figure this out. It's really not as complicated as people think. But I would start with building a leads list. So 30-day,
Okay.
think of, give yourself a 30-day runway and start to identify. Well, first, let me back up. Before you do anything at all, and this is something you might agree with as well, on the organic content side, is like before you're putting any content out, especially if you're about to run a promotion campaign, like you're about to launch a product, whether it's like a brand new beta launch, like no matter how big or small it is, we have to do this one thing before we do anything else. We have to know who the heck we're talking to. Like, we have to know who our market is. We have to make sure that the stinking offer that we are about to put all this, like, so much energy into, that is the right fit for the market we're trying to sell to. I walk my mastermind ladies through a very specific exercise where we make sure that the product we are creating has a market fit. And I have some qualifiers that help them identify, like, does your market cross off all of these things? Like, are they checking all of these boxes? Or is there some like gaps in there where we don't quite know and understand everything about our audience yet? If there is some question mark in your mind about who you're marketing to, or what their needs are, like what their immediate pain points are, what they really want, like what they really care about, we got to do that work before we are launching anything. Because it's a lot of work to do this, to set this all up. Let's make sure that the work we're putting in to set it all up also starts with making sure that we can identify our market and that we know who we are targeting. And this is an exercise we all go through all of the time. So don't feel like you have to know everything right out of the gate, like especially if you're launching something for the very first time. Yes, of course, it's going to take time to develop who your market is, and you'll get better and better each time with knowing and understanding like what your market what their needs are, what they are hoping for, like what their pain points, what's holding them back, all of those things you'll get better at knowing. But start by just writing down, like, who are they? What do they care about? What's holding them back right now? Because as you go to create your ad campaigns, this is the content that you will put into your ad copy. This is the videos and the carousel images that you will use to attract the right people to you. Because the worst thing that you can do is, and this is what a lot of people do, mistake a lot of people make, they start to run ad campaigns without knowing this, and then they get like 1,000 new leads of people that are not quite the right fit, and then they wonder, oh, my ads like failed. I wasted all this money on ads and they didn't work. Well, they wouldn't have worked. Nothing you would have done would have worked. Because you didn't really know who you were targeting. You didn't really know what their pains were or how you could even help solve them. So start there for sure. And then once you figure that out, then you can run some lead generation campaigns. Then you can set up your lead generation machine to attract leads to your landing pages, to your website every single day. Then you can build your leads list, and you know all of these people are the right fit for my offer. And when I take them through this journey, they're going to be ready to buy at the end. And now I have an opportunity to fill up my program.
When you run those lead gen campaigns, do you recommend you run them to like free resources like master classes and downloadable things so that people can kind of get a sense of what it's like to work with you?
Absolutely. Brittany, there's a study that was recently done about what people are craving in 2023. Personalization and connection was at the top of the list. So the more opportunity that you can get in front of your people, you're going to be able to like build trust and have a relationship with them at a much faster pace. I recommend a training, a masterclass, a webinar, some sort of thing that allows you the opportunity to connect with your buyer, but also get feedback from them. That's one of the reasons why I love, podcasting. But a lot of people use podcasting as like their lead gen strategy, which is fine if you do it right. But a lot of people are not. And they're just using it as like, oh, if I go on these podcasts, I'll build visibility and I'll get leads. And then they spend hours and hours on podcasts and they don't get any leads. Because they're not building their leads list in the right way to attract the right people. So, that makes my heart hurt because that's a lot of time.
It is. Like guests that come on my podcast typically record with me for like 45 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer. And if you're doing, like you said, several of those each week, that's a lot of hours that you are now not having to do other things. So what's your secret to using podcasts to actually generate leads?
Well, I'm not a podcast expert by any means, but I always recommend for people to before they go on any podcast, take a look at, make sure you have a solid offer, do that work, go back to make sure you have a product market fit and that you have something that you can clearly articulate on the podcast that you can draw people into, that you can give them the opportunity to go one step further. They can go one step further with you. For example, like if you're using a webinar, yeah, sure, go on some podcasts, have some interviews that then bring people into your podcast, into your webinar. But we can't just like have a full conversation and then at the end say like, oh yeah, I have this webinar and here's the link. Right? Like we have to have a strategic conversation about the experience and what they're going to be learning, like why they should even come to the webinar, why they should even care about that topic to help solve their problem. Like we have to be more intentional. If we're launching a program, we have to be more intentional about the content that we're putting out there and where we are putting it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So aside from being on podcasts and organic marketing, obviously paid marketing or paid ads is a strong way to grow your leads and fill up masterclasses and courses and things like that later. What sort of budget do you recommend to start out with when you're doing paid ads?
Oh, the question of how much do we spend on paid ads? This is the number one question I get all the time. Valid, obviously a reasonable question, but unfortunately, one that doesn't come with a quick answer. Because it depends the types of campaigns that you are running. It depends what you're bringing. Like if you have a big email list, you can create audiences off of them versus someone that's just starting from scratch. the budgets are going to be different. What you're going to
Mm-hmm.
get out of your campaigns is going to be different. I always start with an ad calculator with my clients and people that I help, because it gives an opportunity to set expectations. What it does is it says, we start with like, okay, if you're using paid ads for your launch, let's start with how much revenue you want to generate from this launch or this promotion. How much
Mm-hmm.
revenue? What's the cost of your product? And therefore, how many people do you need to enroll to hit that goal? Because at the end of the day, no matter what you do,
Mm-hmm.
if you're using paid, organic, like if you're just shouting from the rooftop, come join my program. It's all a numbers game. Not game, but it's all in the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make
Yep.
10 grand or let's back up. If you want like 100 people into your program, or you want 10 new people into your program, you have to talk with 100 people. If you have
Mm-hmm.
an industry average conversion rate, like it's like 10-1 or 10-3-1 is the general like conversion rate of like industry trend. It's like talk to 10 people, 3 of them will be interested, 1 of them will buy. So it's really just backing
Yep.
into, which is why we start with their revenue, backing into, based on
Mm-hmm.
your goals, based on your product price point, how many people do you need to enroll in order to hit that goal? And then it just becomes, okay, now how many leads do we need based on your industry average conversion rate? Or if you've already launched before, you already have your own conversion rates. So what's your conversion rate? Plug that in. Now you know how many leads you need. And now you know generally how much you need to spend on ads in order to capture that many people, in order to have that many people clicking on your ad and going to your landing page. So if you're starting with lead generation campaigns, you can spend a little bit less because generally those leads cost less because the risk to opt in is lower, right? Like they're opting in for something free, a webinar or masterclass, for example, versus an ad driving directly to a sales page for like a $500 to $1,000 product or more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's lower risk. So start with lead generation campaigns. I don't work with anyone that, or I won't, I teach, generally have about around $1,000 to spend at the start. And then you can start to reinvest from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's good to know. That makes sense too. Like I've heard some people say that you need a minimum budget of like $5 a day for ads and you have to run them for like 30 days to like 6 weeks to start seeing results. So I feel like mathematically, I'm not doing that in my head, but it's kind of similar. I was curious, and I don't know if you know this, but do you spend more on paid ads if you're doing it yourself than you would working with a professional? Because the professional knows how to target better.
That's a good question and probably a good experiment. I'm not sure. I think it depends on who you're working with and how well they can run and manage your campaigns. If you have someone that you trust that's teaching you how to do it and you're setting up it yourself and they're walking you through it, you could definitely have success doing it that way. Or if you want to be more hands off and you're like, I just want to work with this trusted person, that's fine too. The thing that you'll probably want to stay away from is doing it yourself without any guidance. If you're not someone that is willing to put the time into teaching yourself, like if you are stretched thin or you want to focus more on growth of your company, you don't want to be the expert at everything in your business and you're not going to put the time into actually learning all that goes into it, then yeah, you're not going to be as successful as having someone walk alongside you and teach it to you or hire someone else to do it. And the only
Mhm.
reason I say that, not saying that like people aren't capable and smart, it's because, in my opinion, the support from the Meta team is a lot of like outsourced, it's a lot of bots. It takes a long time to get feedback. Say you have a rejected ad, it could take days or weeks
Mhm.
to get feedback on that ad versus like if you're walking alongside someone that's teaching you or someone that's doing it for you, they already know like here are the guidelines that we need to follow. Here's the copy that we need to make sure that we are using, or here are the words that we need to stay away from, to be
Mhm.
compliant with the Meta guidelines, policies, and guidelines to help
Right.
you avoid getting into those things.
Mhm.
So that's really the only reason I say that it's could be challenging to do it all by yourself and teach yourself at the same time. But if you have someone that's
Mhm.
good, that
Totally makes sense.
knows, yeah, if you have someone that knows and has done this for a while and knows like how to run campaigns and can teach it to you, like you could do it that way, or you could hire someone to do everything for you, and then it's a lot more hands off for you.
So you mentioned that ads can get rejected, which is obviously a pretty big indicator that you're not on the right track there. But I'm curious to know, this is kind of a two-part question. So how do you know if a paid ad is working? What do you look for? And then how long do you leave an ad before you decide to make changes to it if you don't think that it's working?
Yeah, so there are key performance indicators that you want to look out for. And it really does depend on the type of campaign that you are running, because the key performance indicators will change based on the type of campaign that you are running. For example, if you are wanting to have people opt in for your webinar and you're running traffic to your webinar and you want people to take an action, and you're telling Facebook, I want people to take an action on my landing page, those are much different metrics that we're monitoring. Like we're looking at how many people are actually converting versus how many people are actually just clicking and going to my blog or my podcast, for example, and reading that content. So it does depend. The how we know if the campaign is working does depend on the type of campaign we are running. But generally, generally you want to look at and make sure that your copy and the images or the videos that you are using are resonating with your audience. If you're running a campaign, and this is getting a little bit too far into the weeds, but let's say you're running a campaign to a webinar and you want people to take an action, you want them to convert
Mhm.
onto that page. We're looking at how many people are converting. So we also have to look at the quality of our landing page, right? Sometimes it could not be the ads
Mm.
problem. Sometimes it could be, oh, we don't have enough call to actions on this page, or the color of our call to action button blends in with the page so people can't find the button to submit their form. They can't enter their name and email address because they
Mhm.
can't find the form. Or our page load time is so slow. Like it's taking too long for them to click on the ad and then go to the landing page because we filled the landing page with like 5 videos. Right? So we also have to take a look at what's happening
Mhm.
on both ends. If people are clicking and not converting, let's take a look at what that could mean. If people are not clicking,
Mm.
right, then that could be an indicator that something is going on the front end with our ad.
Okay.
So we have to pay
I like
attention
that.
to
And
everything that's going on. We can't just we can't just run the ads and automatically think that if you're not getting the conversions, it's the ad's fault.
How long would you leave an ad up though before you decided to try and make some of those adjustments and
Yeah,
assessments?
good question. Thanks for reminding me of that question. So Facebook Meta recommends that you leave a campaign up for about 5 to 7 days. If let's say you're running about $50 a day, leave it for 5 to 7 days and let the ad, because we have to remember that this is like a bidding. Facebook is set up like, not sure how to explain it in like general terms, but it's a bidding platform, right? So we have to insert our money, and then it tells Facebook like, oh, you're running ads. Okay, now I have to figure out what to do with your campaigns. So we need to make sure that we have enough time for our campaigns and the algorithms to work in our favor to help the engine understand like what's happening with our ads, what we want them to do, like what are our goals, what parameters did we set, who are the people that we're searching for. Think of a little tiny mouse like searching through the maze. We have to help it to find the cheese, and we have to give it enough time to find the cheese. If we turn it off too early, then we miss out on the opportunity to find the cheese.
Okay. So if you have a smaller budget, let's say you're running like $5 or $10 a day for your ads, do you tend to leave those longer because it takes longer to get results?
Yes.
Okay.
But still pay attention, right? Like you're not setting it and then never looking at it again.
Okay. No, that makes sense. So I'm curious if people are like, you know what, this sounds really great. I want to drive more traffic to grow my email list and get more registrations. Is there anything that you really need set up on the back end to make your ads more effective? Like obviously having landing pages is really important for whatever it is that you're promoting, assuming you're doing a lead generation campaign. Do you need things like email sequences, like welcome sequences or anything like that set up as well? Like what would you say is a requirement or a nice to have?
Yeah, I mean, think about the experience that you want your new lead to have. They're coming into your world. If you are running ads to expand and grow your audience, right? Like you're having brand new people come into your world that don't know you. So what kind of experience do you want them to have? Do you want them to opt in and then never hear from you again, right? 80% of people, based on a recent study, said that they expect a welcome series. If they don't get one, they're searching through their emails, like looking for one, because they expect that experience. So if you are not giving that experience, you're kind of disappointing. You're a new person, and they probably leave feeling like, are you real? Is this a scam? Like, they have all those things that come into their mind. So why not give them a really welcoming experience? Someone comes to your house for a dinner party. You're not just going to leave the door open and never speak to them, right? Like you're going to welcome them with open arms. You're going to tell them where to put their shoes. You're going to tell them like where the napkins are, where they can find a drink, like you're going to serve them. You're going to ask them what they would like as a beverage. You're giving them a great experience. It's the same thing that we want to do with people that we want to build a relationship with, that we want to trust us, that we want to eventually purchase our programs. So yes, absolutely. Like set up a great experience for people to have when they opt in to you. At the very least, like send an email to introduce who the heck you are and why they, validate why they just opted in for what they did.
I like that. And it's nice to hear someone else say that. I feel like everyone's like, I want overnight success. And, I've created this like one thing and we're just going to go for it. And then sometimes they invest money in advertisements, which I hear a lot of people tell me. They're like, oh, we're doing organic marketing now because we tried paid ads and it didn't work. And then I start working with them and, they don't have brand colors and they don't know who their target audience is, like you mentioned, or they don't have email marketing and things like that set up. And I was like, well, this is probably why, because you didn't create the customer experience that you've been promoting and talking about. So you need to kind of build the foundation before you can start, with the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important. And we really have to look at our business and everything that we are building as long term. Like, we're doing all of this work so that, you don't have to go back to your 9 to 5, so that you can create a lifestyle and a business opportunity that gives you the freedom, financially, personal, to create something that works for you and your lifestyle and the things that you care about. Right? But we also have to remember that people are coming into your world that don't know you. And so we have to invite them with open arms and treat them like they are people and not like a number.
So we've talked a lot today about how you could try and do some ads yourself and how to build the foundation to do that. For the people that have that foundation in place and you're like, yeah, I don't want to learn it. What does working with you look like? Can you share a little bit more about what your process is, what's included? And I mean, I'm personally curious what the tagline or the ticket price, I guess, is on working with the paid ad manager if I didn't want to build my own funnels.
Yeah, so my team within my Done For You agency, we manage ad campaigns for our clients. And it's a complete done for you package, which means we are creating your ad copy. We are guiding you on any videos that you are creating, or we are creating any ad assets in terms of graphics, carousels, like whatever images we are going to be using for your campaigns. We are building your audiences, setting up your A/B tests. Like, we're doing everything that you feel overwhelmed about. We are doing that for you, and then managing your campaigns and providing you with weekly updates of what's going on, so that you really know what the heck your money is going towards, how it's going, what expectations that you can expect on a monthly basis. And we definitely do like trend reports and things like that, so people can see what's going on and project out like what's going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay. So how many advertisements would you build for someone in one funnel?
So I recommend having 3 to 5 different pieces of creative to run within one campaign. So if you're running multiple campaigns, times that by 3 to 5.
Okay.
At least to start. That's a good starting point.
Very good.
And then you can build from there.
That makes sense. And I feel like that sounds manageable if we were trying to do it ourselves. 3 to 5 things, we could build that. That's like a week's worth of social media content for a lot of people. But the back end pieces of you guys doing all the setup and the A/B tests, and there's definitely value in that, which is great. So I would love, before we wrap up, if you could share how people can connect with you if they're interested in learning more.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I'm so glad that we got to do this. If you want to check out more about what we do and the results that we get for people, you can visit my website, lizboer.com, Lizboer. You can get some more information there, or feel free to message me on Instagram. I'm at lizboer_com. Feel free to message me, shoot me some details about what you're doing, what you're building, what you're thinking, and I can help you decide if having paid traffic in your marketing strategy will be beneficial for you, if it's the right fit for you, or if you want to wait a little bit. But yeah, message me there, ask me your questions. I'm happy to help if I can do so.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing. I know I personally learned so much about paid advertisements. It's going to be yet another thing I'm adding to my to-do list for my business because I do really feel that it's beneficial for the lead generation, which we need more of. Social media, like you mentioned, is fabulous for organic, but it only gets us so far. So it's nice to know what our next steps are.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And we will see you all next week on the Go Get Great podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Go Get Great. I hope you found some useful tips and tricks that can help you make life and business work together. If what I said resonates with you, please share it on social media and don't forget to tag at Brittany Miller Socials so that I can celebrate you for taking those first steps towards achieving greatness. Remember, success doesn't happen overnight. It takes dedication, hard work, and a lot of spirit. So don't be afraid to dream big and go after what you want. Keep striving for greatness. You get closer with every step forward, no matter how small they may seem. Until next time, go get great.